Hello? No? You can't hear me? On and back on? Okay. Wait. Please, guys. Back up from the screen, please.
We're here. The camera with us.
You said you were wanting to do mumbo jumbo, so that means this is what mumbo jumbo is.
This is what it is. Is that a Muda I see? Oh, wow. Hey folks, there are some mysterious Mercury retrograde technical issues going on today. They are trying to figure out what is going crazy with the technology right now. So thank you for your patience, and hopefully we will be online here shortly.
Hello. Hello. All right, there it is. It's working.
Hi.
You give that to her. Thank you.
Can you turn the volume down? No, actually, you can start there.
Great problem solving. Thank you for figuring that out.
Okay.
I did not do it to save my
Your decision is in All right, y'all. Hello? Talking, talking. One, two,
Hello, we
three.
can hear you. We can hear
Talking.
you.
Test.
Can you hear us?
All right. All right. Are we able to hear the people on
Yeah,
Zoom?
can you
Mimi, do
hear
you
us?
mind testing?
Nope. Oh no. I've
Huh?
been testing. Ay, ay, ay. Test,
No, I
test
just
one
logged
and two
in.
and three.
I can
Can you
log
hear
back
me?
on.
I can hear you. I think that they can't hear us. I think there's ongoing audio issues. Seemed like it was fixed, but it is not.
Here, I'll just log back in on my phone, on my laptop. It was HDMI one. Oh. Hello, can folks hear me okay?
I can hear.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. Thank you all for joining our conversation today. I'm gonna have Khalid Ibrahim, who's one of our young people, start us off with a mumbo jumbo introduction and then pass it to Muda for our check-ins.
Okay, hello everybody. My name's Khalid. And okay, I can get started. So mumbo jumbo is what does he say? For first and first and foremost, uh it we come every week, every Wednesdays and Thursdays to talk about we have different people talking every week. So tonight, what should I say? Tonight is about data centers. I'm not sure the specific topic, but data centers overall. Um, but last week we had like our education piece, and yeah. So I want to shout out the Indianapolis Recorder and the newsletter event people. Who else? And our supporters for Kepra. And please don't forget, donate.kepra.org. Okay.
Thank you, Khalid. I'm gonna pass it to Muda to do a quick rundown about our intro ritual, and he's gonna give us our check-in question.
Okay, so for our check-in question, your number based off of how you're feeling today, your color described off of today, and uh if you're in an item, what it would be.
Do you want to start us off with an example?
So I'm a 7.5 because last check-in I was a 7.4. My color for today is teal because Mr. M's hat was teal. And and if I was an item, I would be a plane, bomber plane.
Um, Hello everyone. My name is Aguila, part of the Kepler Institute, and I would say I'm feeling kind of like a sky blue. It's very gorgeous outside. Sky blue 8. And if I were an item, I would be a notebook because I always have my notebook around and you can do a lot of things like write things in them. And I will pass it to Mamalo.
Number 30. My color my color's red. Oh, an item that I would be would be a couch.
Oh, really? Wouldn't be. Oh, okay. My number is a 10. Yeah, my number is a 10. And my color is yellow to represent happiness. Or should I say yellow 10? Do you get it? Yeah, 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 yeah. And if I could be an object, um, I'd be a book. Yeah, I'd be a book. Yeah, I'd be a book. Here you go. Yeah. I'm gonna pass it online. Mimi, if you're available, please unmute your mic.
Ah, um, feeling like a turquoise 7.77. And I was an item. Mm, hmm. Like whatever you need. That's what I thought it was at a Swiss Army knife. um, or a hula hoop. And I will pass it to Jeanette.
I'm a 9.5, bright sunshiny yellow. If I were an item, um, I think I would be, I was going to say hammer, but that's kind of limited. I'm going to say like a drill driver that can build stuff. And I need to pass it to Abel.
Hello. Today I'm feeling like a moss green 8. And if I were to be an item, I would be a microphone. And I can pass it to Pambana.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to be a tulip yellow today, number 11. And if I were an item, I'd be a pair of classy, I think Skechers shoes that can wear with all kinds of clothes and they look great and can take you anywhere. And I'll pass it to Wendell or Wendy, not Wendell. Sorry. Pass it to Wendy. Well, if Wendy's not there, then I think I'll pass it to Tom.
Thanks, Bob Bonner. Hey, everybody. Um, May Sky Blue 9.75. And I'm sorry, I just joined, so I didn't catch the question.
If you were an object, what kind
The
of object?
question is, if you had to be an item, which item would it be?
An item. So if I were a thing,
Exactly.
wow.
Like, beauty
Think I'd be a
items.
pry bar.
Oh.
I will pass it to Abel.
She already went, so I am going to pass it back in. We have Johnny and Kevin, so I'll pass it to Kevin.
Thank you.
I'll try again. I don't know. My name is Kevin. Yeah. Hey everyone. feeling a maroon 6 today. And if I had to be an object, I don't know, maybe a flag. That seems pretty cool. Good Johnny.
Hey y'all, this is Ajani. I'm feeling like a burgundy red 5. And if I had to be an item, I'd probably say a I don't know, maybe a pencil.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Thank you everybody for joining. I think we got everybody. So today we are just kind of having an open-ended conversation about AI and particularly the hot topic I think we're probably hearing a lot in our communities around the expansion of data centers and more specifically a lot of the fights around it. And so I want to start us off with just an open-ended question about when y'all think of data centers, what kind of images come to y'all's mind? And I want to start out with one of the young folks. Can I pass? All right.
Uh, what comes up when you said data center? What pops into your brain as a image? What pops into my brain when you say data center? I think of a train station for some reason. Popcorn to call it.
All right. So when I think of data centers, I think of the future. I think of destruction in the future, but I mean, it can come with what's the word? What's something that's not long term? Mm-mm. Like it's not gonna last long. It's not forever. What's that? What's the word? No, Mama Love. Dang. No, no, no. Like it's not mutual. What's the word? It's like I'm not gonna be a camper forever. I'm not. So it's just yes. Thank you. Like I think it's just temporary happiness. So yeah. And I oh sorry. No, it's I'm switching to a different topic about guys.
Anybody here or on the call when y'all think of data centers, what comes to y'all's mind? I don't know. Mama looks. Yeah. When you hear the word data centers, any images? No? Okay. I'll pass it in on to online. Anybody? Oh, I'll pause just for a second because I see Tara has joined. I'm gonna call out Tara, do a quick check-in, color, number, and if you're an item, what item would you be? And then I'll pass it to Mrs. Fair.
One thought that I could get away. Um, okay. I'm feeling like a sky blue 8. If I were an item, what would I be? Um, if I were an item, maybe a bowl like that you eat out of, because I just ate a meal out of a bowl. I don't know. Like that's the
That
nearest
works.
item. Yeah. Thanks.
Well, I'll pass it back into Mrs. Farron, and we're going to do quick check-ins, color, number, and if you were an item, what item would you be?
Hey, what item were you?
That was a notebook.
Well, I'm a yellow 10 and I'd be a computer. I'd be a laptop, one that you could do email on. So yum you up. Hi, Muda.
Well, my color is quantum. My number's 11. And if I was an item, I would be a nightmare.
Hi, Miss
Not
Fierce.
an item.
That's not item?
No.
Sorry, it's not item.
Yeah.
I'd be a sharp knife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
Jay,
we were
will you
just
join
starting,
us?
huh?
Jay was going to check in real quick.
Oh, awesome. Perfect.
By the way, we eating ribs here. I told him he
I
didn't want
know.
to, so.
Please don't. Please save me a plate.
I got you, Agila. Hey,
Thank you.
everybody. I'm feeling like a red and black. I'm gonna go with a 0, not necessarily 0 to 10, but great reset and all. Um, and if I were an item, I think I would be a modded Nintendo 3DS.
And I would like to know, since we're running a little late, did Mello, Muda, or Khaled go yet?
Yeah, they went. They started us off.
Thank you.
Okay, well then I'll pass it to anybody who hasn't gone yet. Maybe Jeanette.
I need advice on this.
Oh, everybody went. So
Oh,
I'm
sure.
gonna actually pass it to Khalid to ask his next question about data centers. Go ahead.
What I know about
Yeah, why don't you start us out with what you know about data centers, and then we'll go from there.
it. Stand up. There you go. So, some things I know about data centers are that they give us the ability to watch Netflix, YouTube, play video games. But you know, that makes everybody happy. Who doesn't want to watch Netflix? But the uh the problem with that is that they are energy hogs. So they're constantly using energy, never not using energy. So what does that mean for our Earth? That if you put, okay, I got a question for it, if anybody wants to answer it. If you have hot rocks and you pour water on them, what's gonna happen? What comes off the rock? Yes, steam comes off the rock. So that's the same with data centers. They have to cool down, and if they don't cool down, they'll override and melt. So for on, after they get done cooling off, the heat from the data center is transmitted through the air and can cause heat, not heat pollution, climate change, and is not good for the animals. So that's just something that I knew and sharing. And I mean, we can start off with that. That's something I'm really good with.
I appreciate that. Um, yeah, so you mentioned stuff about like how data centers um are used, like, the data centers that we're talking about are used to help things like Netflix run, different, applications that we use. Why do you think it's become such a hot topic now in the like last couple of years? Because, it's been around for quite some time.
Yeah, 40s it was made. Yeah. Um, hmm. Well, number one, we have the most data centers in America. So, no, in America. I think there's like 5,873. So, what's come out of its technology? Uh, hmm. I don't understand your question. Can you ask it like a different one?
Why is it such an issue now? How come we haven't heard of
Oh,
like
okay.
major fight
Okay.
since before?
Hmm.
What is it about data centers now that are becoming
Oh, well, number one, oh, I don't know if I can say this. Okay, bet. So, well, you know about Trump trying to like drag our attention with other useless. Well, it's not useless. That's not useless. But with the documental stuff. Is this like a question are you asking me or like you know the answer? I don't know. I don't really know what you're talking about. No, he does not.
I was gonna say don't go. I was gonna say don't go deep into Trump stuff because there's cameras all over this place, and you see that they can hear you. So chill out.
So, we've always had data centers, right? That to run things like Netflix. Netflix didn't just come in the last couple of years. It's been a while, around for a while. But we're seeing a lot more around data centers and them taking up more and more energy. What was the technology that came out that has now resulted in such a need for data centers?
So what came out was games, computers, all types of devices like Xboxes, PlayStations, uh, mega computers, so like gaming computers, and just a lot of stuff that has stuff to do with games.
Don't yell into the mic, please. Okay, yeah, that's one other thing. What about AI? Yeah. No. It's good because, I think it's important to distinguish between them because data centers have been around for a while, right? So, but we're really hearing about data centers now as an issue because of the scale. So there's something called hyperscale data centers that are used for cooling and for servers that run artificial intelligence. And those require, are you good? Okay. Do you need water? Okay. Those require a lot of water. And have folks heard about hyperscale data centers before this or oh, can y'all hear me?
I don't know that I've heard that hyperscale.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like what they're wanting to build Perry Township, Decatur Township, Brightwood,
Mm-hmm.
Martindale, Brightwood?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And the kind of computing and like cooling it takes to run those data centers are like tens of times more than the data centers that have already existed to run our like usual everyday lives. Not to say they don't have impact, but the level of impact, it's kind of in the name, it's hyperscale. It's very exaggerated. And so for me, I'll personally say like the conversation about data centers hasn't really come so much to my mind or like at the forefront until the conversation and the emergence of AI. So yeah, I don't know if anybody else wants to chime in on this conversation.
Yeah, I just wanted to like echo those. What? I'm like sitting in the corner. Echo those comments a little bit. I think just to get an idea of like the scale that we're talking about with these hyperscale data centers, I've seen that like the amount of power they consume is somewhere along like the like hundreds of megawatts. So just for like an idea of what that means, um, Kepra, like all of Kepra's facilities are probably like 100 kilowatts. So that's like one thousandth of that. So imagine you have like a data center that's basically 1,000 Kepras. That's how much power it's using. And I think for water, it's like tens of thousands of like houses, like household consumption, something like that. I think it's like 50K. It's like that type of scale. So yeah, just to give an idea of like what we're talking about in terms of resource usage.
Kevin, I'd like to ask a question. Could they use solar? Because I'm always saying I believe in AI. I believe it's coming no matter what. Can't they supply the data centers with the electricity that they need with solar panels and maybe even some wind turbines since they're going to be way out? And the only um, a rule of thumb on placing a wind turbine is that if it falls down on your property. And if they're going to build these warehouses in these big commercially zoned areas that used to be farmland, how much solar power do they need?
I'd like to add a follow-up question to that, Kevin. So, Ms. Ferris, since you are a solar energy expert, she's saying maybe solar energy can support the area of data. Now, you don't have to believe AI is important. We'll come back to that later. But I am curious, even with solar energy, how does that address the water needs as part two of that question?
But part one is, could solar even do it?
Yeah, I mean, at the scale that I was talking about, we're probably talking about maybe like 300 to 400 acres of solar for like one data center. Um, which is, yeah, that's about the scale I think that we'd be talking about. It's with water, I don't know, I guess I'm not as familiar with the logistics of water. But with power, yeah, something in that range.
So fair response. Last question. Do you believe that AI should be an integral part of our strategy at the community level?
I mean, I think there are usages for it. To be honest, I'm not like super familiar with exactly how like certain usages translate to like what is practical and what isn't. So like one example is like I know that the way that AI is done in the US or in the West, there's a lot of uh almost like difference or they're basically trying to like scale up and use as much energy as possible within their like data processing algorithms. So for example, I don't know if you guys have heard of DeepSeek, which is like the Chinese generative AI, like it's like
Yep.
way more energy
Yep.
efficient. So I think there could be a role for AI to like improve people's lives at the community level, but I think the important question is like, what are the processes that we're actually using it for? You know, because right now I think a lot of that computing power, I mean, I don't know about a lot, but like what I hear the most about is like these huge companies using it to process large amounts of data to like sell ads. And just the scale of crunching that amount of data, like the physical amount of data that you'd be crunching, you know, it's like millions of users on Instagram or whatever apps, TikTok that people are using. So that's why it's like, I don't know for sure. You'd have to drill down to the usage, like the specific usages.
So you're looking at the usage in parallel to the amount of water and well, resources, electric and water that they use. Not only that they're using up our resources, but that what they're crunching the data for.
And it sound like I also heard, even with the energy side, the solar side, the amount of land needed, 300 to 500 acres, quite a bit of land for the return for supporting AI.
But once
Yeah.
those solar panels are on the ground, once those solar panels are functioning, if the data center would belly up or something happened to the data center, at least the solar panels would be on the ground and would be useful for the community. And it would cut back on all this fossil fuel that we use. So for me, data centers that use solar panels or clean energy would at least have a perk in putting them up. Because I don't think AI can be stopped. It's like a car without a safety brake on a downhill slant. It's going to be moving, and it needs regulations.
Definitely. And I think, you know, a lot of people across the country, there's like different fights where some people are like pausing like expansion of data centers as a strategy. Some are looking at intervening at like a policy level around decision making. Even this question about can you, even with the like use of
Well,
AI make it green? It's a very contentious conversation, like because a lot of people in a lot of communities, like we don't even want to bring the concept or like an idea of data centers. And also the other major use is like military and surveillance. And what does that mean for communities, especially already surveilled? But I'll pause there and I'll also open up to folks, and if especially folks who are local, and I might bring a Johnny into this if about what are some of the local fights have been, what are folks seeing in Indiana, and just anything folks want to share about what that looks like in Indiana. All right, and Johnny, I'll pass it to you. I know you've been in some of these meetings. Sorry, no, just like what are you hearing about data centers in Indiana and then, some of the meetings you've been to?
Um, so I would say when it comes to data centers, especially when it comes to Indianapolis, what I've seen is Martindale Brightwood, there is a data center wanting to be built there. Um, I've attended two city county council meetings related to it. One wasn't necessarily related to it because they didn't get to it. And then I've also attended a town hall. At the first city county council meeting that I went to about the data center, the actual company that was in charge of building it, what? Oh, admit I can't do anything about that, man. Um, one of the meetings that I went to, the company that actually is building the data center wants to was there speaking on behalf of it. And one thing that I noticed is that the way that these data centers try to defend themselves against the communities is very weak. Um, but it doesn't need to be strong because they already have the support of the institutions in your cities. Um, there's a lot of community support around opposing the data centers, making sure that they aren't being built. People are organizing and showing up at town halls. They're creating groups to push back against the data centers. The data center town hall that we went to was held by Protect Martindale Brightwood. They're a organization that was formed in response to the data center that's trying to be built there. And the entire town hall, they're just railing in on these representatives for the organization or the company that's building the data center. And the main thing that these companies are trying to bring home is that this is going to be an asset for your community. This is going to benefit so many of the businesses that are in your community, and all the family owned businesses are going to benefit from this, but they never actually provide you with ways in which the data center is going to benefit your community. They also are just kind of very, yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that. What I'm seeing is a lot of people showing up in their community and saying, no, we don't want this. And then what I'm also seeing is the nature in which these companies are trying to defend themselves. They're trying to make themselves seem like the victim, that all these old people are bullying us because they don't want us to take their water and pollute their air. Um, yeah, I think I'll leave it at that.
what do you think we should do?
Are you asking that to me?
Yes, sir.
I think that organizing with your neighbors and having community discussions like this one are very important. Um, I think the education is always the if you can't do anything, educate yourself or educate others is always the best thing that you can do because that can always lead into some actual actions being made. Create some community groups where you're able to have conversations not just about data centers, but the things that are going on in your community. Organize and talk to your coworkers, talk to your family members, and also try your best to kind of learn how the decisions are made where you live. What councils, where are your city county council meetings being held at? Who is on your city county council? Who is your representative? I think the best thing that you can do is educate yourself and educate others.
Thank you.
No problem.
And I'm curious, you had mentioned organizations like Protect Martindale Brightwood? What are some of the tactics and what are some of their demands? Like, how are they organizing? What have you seen in the city?
I can't really tell you anything about that concrete, because I honestly don't remember. That was last month. What I will say, what I saw from what the community members were demanding was that you pay for your own utilities. You are not going to put the energy usage that your data center is sucking up on the grid onto the residents. So you're going to pay what you're using in terms of the energy on the grid. That's one of the main things that I've seen people demanding. And then just obviously the no, we don't want this. Get out. We don't want you here. This isn't a need for us. And then I think another thing that they're also demanding is transparency. What are you really doing this for? Who is this for? Who is this benefiting? They're demanding information and also demanding not to be exploited.
I also see Rasul has joined. And so I want to do a check-in with him and then I'll pass it to you, Suli or Tara, if y'all want to talk about the trip we took last year to Northern Virginia slash DC, the DMV area, and some of our reflections of what we heard from local folks there. So pass it to Rasul. Oh, check-in question is
If so, your number and color, and if you were in an item, what would it be?
An item?
Yeah.
Uh, Interesting. I am a just ate dinner, so I'm a 7.5 blue, and I'll probably be I like a lantern. Don't know why. That comes to my mind. Um, yeah, and I guess you wanted us to come in on a DC trip. Um, I can go first. Or Tara can go first, but um, yeah, on the DC trip, we went on a tour to what was called AI, Data Center Alley. And it was a portion of the uh part of the DC area that was just like data centers less than two some miles apart, like the largest concentration of data centers within a given area just being rapidly built up by um companies like Google, um, Amazon, Facebook, or Meta, and Elon Musk, being rapidly built in the area, and just took us to different areas about the different areas of friction and tactics that the data centers are known for. They just get built in areas um usually without informing anyone outside of a community and just popping up everywhere and producing pollution, whether it's physical or noise and sound, or water usage. And some people don't notice it until their electrical bills in their area start going up in response to the overload, overbalance that they just said it does. And I guess as- aside from that, what I took away from it is that like a lot of those data centers being built are not may not or may never be powered because usually with a lot of data centers it was more of, well, we can get money and funding by building these, but but not on the basis of whether they actually even be used as like a data center or be powered in any way. And it just, I guess, emphasized to me that like the sprawl and the dash or run of share bending uh uh of this of the whole experience of data centers. And I heard them talking in the background. Sorry. Yeah, so that was my trip. That was my experience on it. And like it's this weird it's weird dynamic of like I heard both sides of arguments of people that love it and like it, or like love it or hate it of AI in data centers. But it really comes from either argument really comes from any of the parties that are actually in control of like which direction this goes. So it's just it's just very interesting um dynamic I see. So but I'll pass it to Tara if that was your question, Agila.
Yeah,
Pass
I
you, Tara.
can. Cool. Yeah, so I had to pull back my notebook from the time. Um, but yeah, I think my Rasul summarized the trip pretty well. I would say some of my takeaways from that was just, one, just the messaging of the benefits and stuff. And it's like, how some of those quote unquote benefits were just straight up lies. Which didn't surprise me. But I think it just more so um emphasizes what a Johnny had mentioned of just the importance of education, and really understanding like what this is and not like what um, these big tech corporations want us to believe and stuff to try to like win us to be like, nah, it's cool, it's for us or whatever. Like I had like wrote a note in here where it was like wealthy people don't even use these systems. Or because yeah. Or which I'm like, what did I mean by that? But I wrote it down. Um, Another takeaway that I got from this trip um was just like just the push for AI. I think Russell was saying something like this, for these data centers because of AI as like, the next sexy trend thing or whatever and stuff. And I mean, just really anywhere, like if you go on Google or like Instagram or whatever and stuff, it's just like shoving AI down our throats and stuff. just really trying to like sell it and stuff. And it's like it's still not like at a good enough level and stuff for the messaging that is being sent out and stuff. Like it doesn't really match and stuff. There's still lots of flaws and stuff to it. The AI that we have access to is a language something. Can't remember the exact language model. So it's basically
Oh,
like,
it's like the language learning models.
yeah, thank you. The language learning models. And it's, and it it spits out what we feed into it, right? But
Large
then it's
language model. There we go. That's
large
what it was.
language model. Ah, thanks. Large language model. And it's like, it spits out like what we put into it and stuff. But then it's like, if there's only a specific narrative that's going into it and stuff, then it's just like, that AI is going to be reflective of only like a very narrow perspective. Um, and um, what else? What else? This also reminded me like I think that this point just reminded me of like a conversation that we had at the Afrofuturism conference last year where I didn't know that we could build our own AI, but that's a thing and stuff. So like that may be something to like look into and stuff to kind of like mitigate that issue of just like okay, like how like if this big tech corporation AI is going to use like one type of version or whatever and stuff, then it's just like, what would it look like to have an AI that's more culturally aligned? Um, and another takeaway from the trip that I got was, as far as just like what else can we do? Like, what are some alternatives? Is just to not use these systems and stuff. So like, get off of Google and like Meta and which is like Instagram, Facebook, and all these things or whatever and stuff, which is it's definitely a learning curve. But I think something that I took away from that convening is just like, I mean, we had to learn how to use these tools and stuff, so we can learn how to get off of them. Um, and I learned about a variety of different alternatives, like Google like alternatives, email alternatives. That's what we did. We did a great exercise. We were just like, what are some tools that we use or whatever, like just in general. So it's like, document sharing, spreadsheets, emails, um, what else? Like a search engine and stuff like that. And then we like discussed different alternatives and stuff. So like Proton Mail is like an email space, which also has like a calendar and I believe like documents as well too. Like it's to me it looks very similar to Google or like at least like the Google Suites and stuff. Um and I can't think of the other ones, but that was like the first one that came to my mind and stuff. But um yeah, and just really getting our hands around like, you know, understanding what this is, like why is the push so aggressive and stuff. Recognizing like, like and I guess just like seeing through this or whatever, like looking at okay, what are the opportunities for us to still stay afloat in the midst of all this fogginess that's being thrown our way.
Can I ask what you
Thank you.
mean by staying afloat?
What do I mean by staying afloat? Um, what I mean by staying afloat is just like it's very broad, how I pictured it in my mind of just like how can I say this? This is a good follow-up question. Um, basically just staying awake, I guess, like taking in this information about AI and like data centers, um, and looking at it like, you know, because there is like an environmental challenge behind using or like with these data centers, especially like if they continue building at the rate that they have been. And um I guess like one, I think about just like the environmental concern and stuff as we're already like in like a climate change crisis. Um, but then I'm also thinking about just like a messaging concern as well. Like just being like, okay, really, you know, being in community and staying organized and like understanding what really is happening and stuff outside of like the common message that's being presented to us. And from that information, deciphering like, okay, like I guess like how do we like how does it make sense for us to use it? Does it make sense for us to use it? Do we need to like be actively like against it and stuff? Like just how to make sure that uh we are still we're still good and stuff and we're still able to survive and thrive even with the challenges presented.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thank you.
Tara.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And I'm curious, I don't know, I don't want to put you on the spot, Kevin, but you're also based out of DC. Um, what have you been hearing locally about any fights with data centers? Because we were actually in Data Center Alley in like one of these wealthy neighborhoods, and it was a very interesting thing. One of the things that they mentioned was like how people are bypassing even like public hearings through some of the like local codes that allow them to just like, you know what, we don't even have to like inform people. We can build it because we're doing this in industrial zones, even though it's still close to residential neighborhoods. So yeah, I'm just if you have any thoughts or perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding of the data center fight in, um, I guess I would just call it the DMV, so DC, Maryland, Virginia is, so there's a lot of defense companies in Virginia. So there's definitely a push for data centers out there. I also know that there is a big fight, and it's called PG County, Prince George's County, which is right outside DC. It's I don't know if it's majority black, but I know there's a very large black population there. I know there's a lot of organizing that are fighting back against data centers. I think there's been some level of success. Been a bit of a mixed bag. But yeah, I think in DC proper, I mean, it's just like the space constraints, there's not much. DC is just kind of small in that way. But yeah, like I just think given just the number of big companies with lots of data needs all over sort of the Maryland, Virginia area, and like that's just kind of how like there's a lot of people that move to the DMV to like work for big companies essentially, and like they're based in usually Maryland or Virginia. So yeah, that's probably what I have to say about that.
Thank you. I'll pass it if there's anybody on Zoom. I'm gonna also drop a link and I can talk about it a little bit, but before I do that, I want to also open up for anybody on Zoom to, reflections on this conversation. What can communities do? Or even like lessons or places where they have been successful.
I would just like to interject. I remember when I was looking at it wasn't necessarily a documentary, it was an old movie. I mean, old movie. And they were using string to ship packages. So if you were a store and you had to package up something to send it out to somebody who ordered something, You would wrap it up in brown paper and you use string to keep it together. Tie it one way, loop it around and tie it the other way, and then tie it on the top in a knot. So when tape first came out, of course it wasn't the best kind, but when people started using tape, others said, "Oh man, that'll never fly." Because you can't take
Uh,
it off and reuse it. That will never fly.
hey, excuse me, Gila.
Yeah.
Straight to interrupt, just let Muda know his mom's outside.
All right. Thank you.
And, here we are this many years later. And as hard as it was for tape to get a foothold, everybody knew that, or people really, there are many who realized tape was going to win. And the same way with
Oh, wait.
horse and buggies and automobiles that didn't have tops across the top
His
of
mom.
them. There were automobiles. When they first came out, they didn't have tops across them. They were just an open carriage. And if they turned over, everybody died right away. Or if they ran into something because there weren't any signal lights. And not to say that that was the only way that there could have been progress. But, there are things that you can shape or you can affect on the front part. After it gets a hold, it's hard to go back in and see the things that could have made it more user friendly for communities. And somehow computerization in the way it can take that information that people used to sit around like actuaries. The whole industry of actuaries came about with numbers and trying to figure out what should the insurance cost be to these people over here that have an asset that they want to insure, and just in case they lose it, they'll have money to replace it. So actuaries came about crunching data on what should you charge people to have a $10,000 worth of insurance if they're 25, and what should you charge them when they're 75. So I'm just saying that as these fields uh, went forward, as these fields expanded because of use, because of their utility, it's only in the front part of what's going on that you can make the changes. And to fight the AI data centers, to say you can't have them, I mean, we can fight them and say you can't have gigantic 50 block long data centers using up all the water and the electricity. You can have a 2 block one with its own electric grid. And I mean, just like in the country, they have those big water towers that they collect water and they use water. There are ways that they can use water that they don't have to dip into our water resources that the residents use. They can have their own water source and their own electricity with solar and with wind power and geothermal if they have to go to the center of the earth and get that geothermal that they've been talking about. But I'm just saying to push for the challenges that it presents to residents, that they're the ones with the money. They just want to hold on to the money for their corporate people and use up our resources. Instead, for us to push back and say, yeah, if you want this, you have to use your money to fund these things. You need your money to address the challenges that you want us to pay for on our back. We citizens who out there with our pensions or with our jobs, which don't make near as much money as you people stand to make. You use your money. Go borrow the money if you have to, and put your own solar in there and put those big water towers up. And so I'm just saying that I think the energy ought to be in yes, but, not no and never. But yes, but yeah, if you want to do this, how you going to do it without riding it on our backs like we wind up doing and getting all of our resources sucked up through taxes and everything else to people who already have money. That's why the 1% has 90% of all the resources, or the top 10% have all of our resources just sucked up to the top. So that's my bid on it. Make them pay. I pass
Yeah.
it back in.
No worries. So I actually dropped a link to this toolkit around policy. And so just through some of our relationships and work with national organizations and other community members, there is this research kind of think tank called AI Now that does a lot of research and analysis on AI, especially from like a grassroots level and like digging into these different aspects. And they have this fairly like extensive, I would say, like document and toolkit around the different and this is like US focused. Like Khalid said earlier, the US has the highest concentration of like data centers in the world. And like by far. It's very interesting because I would say it reflects some of the ratios around like military spending and like lists and stuff like that. Uh so this toolkit like a lot of what Miss Fair you were saying, like how are the different rule like mechanisms and policies that communities can implement, like uh, things that restrict uh tax breaks. That's another major challenge a lot of our communities in the US face with like economic development and with data centers especially, is that cities and municipalities and states are offering these tax breaks, which is lost revenue for the state and cities that we can then use, that we need to be using to implement for roads and housing and different programming for a community that we're paying
And
for
education.
education, things like that. It's a really great toolkit. And so
So,
those are,
quick question: does that mean that we need to be preparing to run people for office?
Or checking up on the people who do put
yeah.
anti-people measures in.
I mean, yeah, I would say
And like
continuing to build
specifically you.
me specifically, that is
Yeah.
not my ministry. But I think there's a lot of folks who are interested. I also don't think you have to run for office to necessarily influence office.
Yeah, I'm just
There's
saying that if the concern is about
Mhm.
the loss of tax credits and other revenue
Yeah.
streams, what strategy are we going to use as a community to address those pieces? I raised that
Yeah.
apart. Paulette went on to say, communicating, engaging with the existing policy
Mhm.
decision makers. So,
Yeah.
so
I
if
think
it's true that there's going to be a loss of revenue to our communities tied to these
Mhm.
benefits that they have leveraged actually in secrecy,
Yes.
what course of actions can communities take to
Mhm.
push back?
Um, I would go back to some of our like, I think good old organizing, right? Building relationships with and like knowing who your counselor is, understanding, what rights we have to like the meetings. The piece about secrecy, well, that's one of the things they mentioned in this toolkit, is like a lot of people are pushing for and like allied counselors are implementing like bans on NDAs, which was actually one of the challenges we faced here with the Google data center on the south side, right? Where they made council members, and it's not just Indianapolis. There's other cities as well where they had them sign NDAs where they couldn't even talk about it. So those are like very specific policies that we can push for and write for and advocate to implement. Um, there's also, um, the thing about like making sure that they pay their like very clear expectations and like written um agreements around how they're going to pay for those. A lot, I think, of the strategies that are being used right now, at least like my understanding, is pushing for moratoriums, so moratoriums are like pauses on data centers, especially of like the hyperscale side, while folks are trying to get their hands around some of these like other policies to implement. And again, it changes from like locale to locale. Um, like even pushing for a lot of these data centers are not at all even thinking about green technology, right? They're using diesel, they're using gas plants. The example of like X or Twitter and Grok in Memphis, they built new like gas plants. So implementing those policies that like ban those like developments. And yeah, I do think, it's I would say the office and electoral strategy is an Allen wrench in the toolbox of policy organizing. Um, I think what folks are doing, even just like learning to understand what the systems are in our city. So now like we know that there's like the town hall meeting and now it's going to the Department of Metropolitan Development, if I'm not mistaken, for the Martindale Brightwood
Metropolitan
proposal.
Development Commission
And so
Oh,
as
was that
community,
Tom?
speaking.
yes, was I
What did
wrong?
you say,
Please let me
Tom?
know.
Metropolitan Development Commission. It got passed.
Commission, there we go.
The hearing examiner approved it, and it got forwarded to the Metropolitan Development Commission, where it will now be heard. Although the councilor Ron Gibson did ask for a brief, like a 30-day pause, so they could continue to negotiate. But
Yes.
to your point about, if I may, the point about organizing and stuff, people need to get in front of their city county councilor and pin them down and just really get in front of them about that. They don't necessarily hear from
Want to
their
add anything?
constituents. They don't necessarily hear from their constituents on issues, and so it's a few constituents can really have an influence on some councilors. Now there are intractable ones. We won't name them, but they are. We saw that with the Decatur Township, the one that just passed, over Josh Bain, over the objections of his community, his constituents, said, "Yeah, we got to do this." And one of the arguments is always about economic development. Oh, it's economic development. We got economic development. And one of the great
Ouch, I think so.
reviewers or observers and chroniclers of this whole AI scam, at least from a financial standpoint, is this guy named Ed Zitron. And he says every single AI startup without exception does the same thing, turns hundreds of millions of dollars into tens of millions of dollars, or a few billion dollars into a few $100 million. None of them are improving their margins. None of them have a solution. So this is a faulty business model that it's like if they throw enough money at it, and they get enough military contracts, then magically things are going to turn around for them. And so we really have to hammer on the economic argument. And as part of that, one of the investment groups that's looking at the Martindale Brightwood, that's one of the partners in this Martindale Brightwood proposal, is the Qatari Investment Administration. And if you've looked lately at the situation in West Asia, Qatari's revenues are tanking, in part because the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, and then since they are hosting military bases which are attacking Iran, Iran's responding and is decimating them, turning them into dust. They are really in danger of losing the infrastructure that generates immense fossil fuel wealth for these family dictatorships that are rampant in the West Asia. So we've got another issue there. They might implode. These might implode of their own financial instability. So we have to hammer on that as well, I think. Instead of smoking the hopium that, oh, it'll all get better soon. All we need to do is just more. That's simply not going to work.
Tom, what is opium?
Hopium.
Oh, hopium. Okay.
Yes. It's an insidious substance that magically transforms your brain into mush. So
So it sounds like I heard you say get at your city council, put some pressure on those guys.
Yeah.
And one. And was there another point on the strategy for
the financial aspect that these are financially risky propositions like Metroblocks? They may have proposed a bunch of different.
Who is Metroblocks for folks?
Metroblocks is the organization that's proposing the Martindale Brightwood facility. They have not actually built one yet. I mean, so like we're being asked to underwrite their exploratory move in this space, and that's a.
Now I'm curious. Is that why that's taking place in Black and brown communities?
I would say that's probably a really good reason. Plus, you have a compliant city county councilor who will allow them to do so.
Well, Tom, I'm so appreciative that you stepped into this conversation. Thank you so much.
And I'll step out now.
Yeah. Thank you for that spirited interlude.
Can I also say something?
Absolutely. Please.
Thank you. So another tactic that was used on a local level, um, I don't have my notebook with me, so y'all might need to do some extra research on like the specifics. So I might butcher this a little bit, but basically, um, one of the people that were like very active in the opposing the data centers down south, I believe, the one that was for Google, um, was a lawyer. And or like sorry, she wasn't a lawyer, but she like worked in an office full of lawyers and stuff. So she had relationships with them. And um I just paused there. Like I was like, I think that that's also helpful just to like look to see like what policy, what laws or whatever um do we have like leverage points to use and stuff tied with the point of just like relationship building. Um, but as I continue on, one of the things or the tactics that they used was some sort of like rezoning. They basically like the land that they found out that Google was going to use, they like went through this process of like getting it rezoned so that like the data center could not legally be like on that area and stuff. Um, I don't know if they like actually went through with that process or not, or if it was just getting very close. Because to my understanding, I think Google pulled out at like the last minute or so. I'm assuming because there was just a lot of pressure. There was just a lot of things on the table to where Google was like, nah, we're not about to deal with all this. But so yeah, like I think that like the rezoning area was interesting to me. Um, oh God, can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Um, but yeah, the rezoning was a interesting leverage point to look into. I know with that conversation, they also said, like if there's like look out for like, big areas, big open fields and stuff like that, because that's like, where the prize money is at and stuff.
There was a special on the Daily that spoke very specifically to what what you're sharing and how residents were able to push back on the rezoning agenda in that community. So
Oh,
you
I'll
might
have to
take a
check
look
out.
and see if we can find it. And if you can, drop it in the chat.
Okay. Do you happen to know around when that
Recently.
episode? Recently.
Recently.
Okay. All right. Let me look.
Hey, why don't you use AI and do a Google search?
No, no.
Stop.
You can just use Google.
I'll just look on my Spotify. It's not any better, but uh, but yeah, I digress. I'll look for the episode, and if I find it, I'll add it to the chat.
I'm gonna put Colin on the spot, and I'm curious, from what you've known about data centers and to this conversation now, what are your thoughts or any reflections as a young person about this?
Uh, I would say that I know, I mean, it's kind of just the same. No, I don't think I learned anything new. I've heard this stuff a lot now. Um, I mean, it's it's useful to like to rehear it. But I have heard this a lot now. And that's the other question.
I'm curious, like, what are the conversations young people are having about AI? Y'all don't talk about AI? No. No. All right. Uh, we are coming up on 7:30, so I want to offer up any last thoughts or perspectives before we close out. I'm looking up right now the daily information, but I did drop the toolkit in the chat for folks, and I can drop the AI Now website, which has some really interesting. The institute has some interesting like research and publications.
I'm not able to pull up the full article, but I see a title called When AI Comes to Town, the Backlash Over Data Centers.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay, I'll copy and paste the link. I think it's free to have a New York Times account because I have one. I just don't remember my login at the moment.
That's okay. I think, is it locked? Damn. It's okay. We'll figure it out.
No, Alvin always
These are smart people. They can figure it out.
Alvin always prints it down to a PDF
I can already do that today.
and sends it to the PDF. I mean, it sends the PDF in the email.
Yeah. And for this, they have the transcript, and I usually just read that. Well, if there is nothing else, thank you all for joining us. And y'all have a lovely evening. And stay tuned. We will have this on Alchemy Plus. I'll drop also some of these in Alchemy Plus. And thank you all for spending your Wednesday evening with us. Please continue to support our work through donate.kepra.org. Invest in our communities as we look at different programming alternatives, how we can work together to build the communities that we would like and support more conversations like this. As well as thank you to the Indianapolis Recorder, who is our partner, for helping amplify these conversations as well. And with that, bid you a good night.
Good
Good night,
night.
everyone. Thanks for coming.
See you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.